Welcome to the Convergence Advantage, the official podcast for CIS 26. Today, we're joined by Apex Capital Partners to discuss the industry's massive shift from volume to value. We are diving into the new playbook for Caribbean investment migration and why strategic positioning might be the only way to survive in the Caribbean's regional fortress. Let's get started. Hi, Nuri. How are you today?
Very good. How are you? Nice seeing you.
Nice
Haven't
seeing
seen you in a long time.
I know. I look forward to seeing you at CIS 26 this year in St. Lucia.
I look forward to it as well. I have a feeling I'm going to see you even before that.
You just might. So let's begin. Could you tell us more about Apex Capital Partners and the role you play in helping investors and governments navigate the Caribbean CBI market?
Well, in short, I founded Apex Capital Partners over 33 years ago by now. Clearly, I'm getting old with my gray hair. We work in all the Caribbean islands. We are local agents in most of them, and in Grenada, we are marketing agents. We also work with many other programs around the world. We have offices in Europe and Canada, throughout the Caribbean. We also do consult governments on various types of issues, including investment migration and various other ways of raising FDI, foreign direct investment. As part of a consortium, we manage the Anguilla Residence by Investment program and tax residence program. We also run other government agencies in the Caribbean. So we do a lot of things, and we obviously also, our main bread and butter is we represent clients in matters of applications for citizenship by investment in the Caribbean. And what we do is we try to help them make the right decisions about which countries they should be choosing, which programs, which investment levels, and we try to get them really interested in the countries that they are investing in. Speaking of value, getting to know the countries. I myself live, as you know, I live right next to you in Antigua, so I'm a big believer that there's a lot of value in spending a lot of time in all these islands. They're all unique and beautiful, and so I always try, when I'm speaking to our clients and our partners, to try to get them a lot more involved in the lives of the countries that they're either working in or have become citizens of. And that's a whole other issue that we can continue talking about, because that's the value of the citizenship in these countries.
Well, you've already touched on the fact that not only is this your business, but it's also you live the life that you sell. So this is the business you're in, and you're taking advantage of living overseas as well.
To be here next to the governments that we represent our clients to, we thought that would be would add a lot more value to our clients, and that's how I felt. I practice immigration law in Canada, and so I come from this, less from a marketing point of view that most companies in the citizenship and investment program are. They're into the market, and now we live here, and we're going to live here forever.
Exactly. But there are due diligence companies that have boots on the ground. You are a citizenship company with boots on the ground. There you go.
Flip-flops, actually, not boots.
Okay,
but
flips. Fair enough. So, international marketing agents operate at the intersection of global wealth mobility, government policy, and investor expectations. What does the IMA business model actually look like today, and how has it evolved in recent years?
Well, that's an interesting question. I don't know if I would agree with the premise of where the IMAs sit. I think the IMAs are exactly what they're called, international marketing agents. I know that I speak Russian, and so I'm able to speak to Russian clients well, and so I can market to them well. But I don't speak Chinese, and I don't speak Vietnamese, and I don't speak Arabic, and a lot of other languages I don't speak. I only speak a few languages. Um, and So obviously, in order to communicate with the clients and work with the clients directly, there is a role for those who can actually communicate with them. A vast majority of the clients may not speak English. I imagine a vast majority of the clients in China, certainly in Russia. If I wasn't able to speak Russian, I would have had a very, very difficult time speaking to them. So there's a value in having the international marketing agents help us in learning about the clients and managing clients' expectations in a way that we could not, and consulting clients also on which country to gain the citizenship of and which program. It's very hard for us generally to deal with clients directly in different time zones, and again with the different language requirements and all that. So that's where I see the role of the international marketing agents. They're there to support us, support, in all honesty, support the countries in identifying clients, explaining clients what the value is of of each country, and helping us with the paperwork in a way that we can't if we are being so far away. Being in Dubai and doing business in Dubai has a lot of value. Zoom and WhatsApp and all that can only do so much. The personal contact is really important, and so I think that the IMAs who are sitting where the clients are sitting have a very important role in participating in the whole ecosystem of citizenship by investment.
And they'll continue to do so.
I imagine, well, it really depends on how the ecosystem of citizenship by investment is going to develop. As we all know, we're at pretty much at an inflection point, and as to where citizenship by investment is going to be, whether it's going to continue altogether, whether it's going to morph into other types of programs, or whether other countries outside of the Caribbean are going to appear, and they already have appeared and are pulling away a lot of volume, some because they're a lot cheaper in all honesty, and some for other reasons may strip some of the clientele away from the Caribbean. And I think that that's one of the big challenges that the Caribbean has to deal with and be looking at. So how it's all going to work is going to be very interesting, because I believe there are going to be different models of CBI programs.
Well, in the recent year, in 2024, was it, with all the islands now sitting around $200,000 minimum, price is no longer a differentiator. How is Apex Capital Partners helping jurisdictions position themselves?
Well, as I've said, I see each island as having its own value. It's no secret I'm totally in love with the Commonwealth of Dominica. I think it's just a unique, incredible place. We do a lot of work in St. Kitts and Nevis, in various different businesses, not only in CBI, where I live in Antigua. And so we see the difference in each country. We understand the differences between each country, which is hard to understand if you're coming from really far away. And so that we are able to explain to our clients when clients come to us, and in all honesty, most clients come to us and say, hey, we'd like a Caribbean passport. And so my answer is there's no such thing as a Caribbean passport. There's a passport of various different countries in the Caribbean. And that's when we start talking about the value proposition of each Caribbean country. And they each have their own value proposition, both in terms of topography for one, size, taxes. I mean, Antigua is an incredible place in that it doesn't have personal income tax. Now, most people can only take advantage. Not most people. People can only take advantage of this. Of the lack of personal income tax, which is so unique, and there are only so many countries that just don't have personal income tax. And thinking about what the differences. I mean, it's not only they don't only have to compare it to the Caribbean. They can compare it to Europe. They can compare it to other programs in other countries, and they do, in terms of expense and speed and processing procedures, but if you think of a change in lifestyle, which is what it is now. For some it's a much bigger change in lifestyle. For some it's a much lesser change in lifestyle. You do need to consider which island you're sort of getting married to. And so those are things that, because we're experts throughout the Caribbean, we understand that we're able to discuss and speak about.
Agreed. A lot of agencies are only...
And also because we work in each of the islands, we're licensed in all of the islands. I often say I love all of the islands equally. Somebody's going to get mad at me for saying that.
No one.
But we are agnostic. We want to present information to our clients and let them choose.
Correct. Well, Nuri, that leads me to my next question. We're going from volume to value. Talking about market evolution, many agents rely heavily on commissions tied to application volume. What alternative revenue models or service layers can IMAs build to strengthen their profitability?
Well, if we're speaking only about IMAs and not about local agents, they're sort of in different situations. The IMAs are going to have to actually get more involved in the country and create more value when they're selling the product that they're selling. And clients, if they're able to get the clients involved in either doing business or in possibly living in these countries, then there's all sorts of other revenue streams that can be created from selling real estate, or, for example, the island of Nevis has a really advanced corporate services business, and I imagine that most people from around the world who are investing in citizenship in the Caribbean could use corporate structuring services as well. So there are many things that the IMAs could do to add value, but they really do need to think about how to add value, because the competition is great, and as we know, the prices are the same or similar. There's going to the differentiation between the islands is going to be what the islands can offer, and what the islands can offer is going to have to be presented by the IMA. Now, I know a lot of IMAs who've never even been here, never been to these islands. They don't really know where it is and what it is. For them, it's just sort of papers going back and forth from Dubai or wherever, and this isn't something real. But just as we did, my company, my family, we decided that to add value to our clients, we have to be here. I'm not saying everybody has to move here, but getting to know these countries better, getting to know what the value is of each of these countries, getting to know what can be offered besides the citizenship, is going to be a really important aspect of any citizenship by investment professional going forward.
So, how important is investor segmentation? Like, talk to us about how IMAs are tailoring services in today's landscape. Like, what is the balance of focus on mass markets versus sophisticated family offices, entrepreneurs, or ultra high net worth investors?
Well, I think a lot depends on which countries we're talking about in terms of sophistication. I think there's a misnomer. I think 95 or 98% of our clients are not ultra high net worth individuals. I would even argue that they're not really high net worth individuals. We know that generally an investor won't invest more than 5 or 10% of their personal net worth into getting citizenship or residence in another country. And for those who do need something more than the citizenship, I think a lot of the IMAs and the people in our industry need a little bit more, how should I say it, financial acumen. They need to be able to offer their clients added services and added value. I always say about our business that our business sort of starts with the passport. When we help our clients get what they want and we do what we say we're going to do, which is very unusual. Most people don't do what they say they're going to do. Throughout the world, that's the way it is. We gain, when we deliver that citizenship or the passport to our clients, we gain a lot of trust and a lot of credibility. And we can use that trust and credibility both for our own sake and for the sake of our clients by getting more involved with our clients' lives, offering them other services, whether it's corporate structuring, whether it's banking, whether it's other business opportunities and business investments. And I would say that to all the IMAs and all of our colleagues, if you want to survive in this or any other kind of service business, you need to understand that you can't be doing just one thing. The citizenship isn't enough. There's a big weakness in our industry in that we don't have our clients come to us, they get their citizenship and they leave. It's very, very hard for us to keep clients working with us, and that's our biggest challenge. And that challenge, we should be using the trust and the credibility that we gain by giving people citizenship to be able to get more involved with them in their businesses and help them make other types of investments outside of the citizenship.
Well, due to Apex Capital's global expertise, what lessons from other investment migration markets show the consequences of misaligning the program strategy with investor sophistication?
Well, that's actually very interesting. I was just speaking this morning, to an American client who was asking me about the value proposition of the real estate option in CIP. Most people, when they hear about, wow, we can invest in real estate in order to get citizenship, they get really excited. They think they're going to be able to get a really nice house and pay, and the minimum price is $300,000. We're going to get a really nice house that'll be a second or third home for them, and will be a really good investment in terms of a real estate investment. And then they learn that the real estate option is really not a real estate option. It's an option to invest in shares or in fractional things, but it's really not. It's not an option where you buy a home.
Right.
As a matter of fact, it's just not an option where you buy a home. And often you're not even really buying real estate. You're buying a share of, literally a share of a company that owns real estate. And there's a misalignment between clients' expectations and the reality of real estate investment. So that's just one place where there's this misalignment. People don't understand what they're getting into, and often people don't understand, and there's a lot of, I hate to say it, but some irresponsibility on the part of a lot of the professionals in our industry who don't really explain the value of the real estate component of these programs in terms of being able to sell it again and the whole value of it.
Right.
And there are some projects that do have value, but if we, if you think long term, if we look at Antigua or St. Kitts or whatever, and we look at the amount of real estate that has been resold, we'll see that very little has been resold, and that the actual value, because very little can be resold, the value that the government assigned to these real estate projects may not be exactly the market value, because you're buying at a price set by the government, not
Correct.
at a price set by the market.
Correct.
Which is a very interesting thing. It's a weird kind of market. So I think we need to be honest with our clients and worry less about how much money we make, but on what's good for the clients. And whatever is good for the clients, we'll make money. We'll make money and it'll come back to us. So we just need to be as honest as possible with our clients and making sure that we think of them first. And the money will come later.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So switching gears, earlier you brought up the regional regulators. We are a year into the CCRA era, and the Caribbean has traded 5 independent silos for a single regional fortress. Has this regulatory convergence, or do you think it will streamline the operations with a unified rule book, or will it create friction or of meeting centralized standards, making it more of a bottleneck?
Will there be bottlenecks? Hell yeah. There'll be a lot of bottlenecks. And everyone is going to have to try to work together in order to manage those bottlenecks, because at the end of the day, the bottlenecks in the relationship between the regional regulators and the governments, the regional regulator and the agents and the governments, all of that is going to affect the clients who shouldn't know anything about this and shouldn't care about it. They don't care about the fact that we are regionally regulated rather than, nationally regulated. Well, actually, we're going to be both. We're going to be both regionally and nationally, which is part of the problem, that we're going to have to be regulated on 2 levels. and how that is going to work is going to be a very interesting thing. I think we have to wait and see. I mean, a lot of what is technically in the regulations about the regional regulator gives me, how should I say, gives me pause. Again, because I know that this is all just going to be trial and error. There are a lot of smart people involved in putting together this regulatory body, so I hope that it adds more value than it doesn't. But the jury, again, the jury hasn't been chosen yet. Even it's still too early for all of that.
Wow, you've brought up some really good points, things that I don't think a lot of agents or partners have considered. So right now, let's change the
They will
subject.
consider these things. Don't worry.
They will. They have no choice. They won't have any choice. So let's take a few minutes and talk about St. Lucia in May. Apex Capital Partners is no stranger to CIS. You are coming in as a platinum partner for CIS 26. How will you use the summit to highlight your strategic role in shaping the future of investment migration?
You know, it's no secret that we are somewhat involved in what potentially may be going on in Argentina. And Argentina is planning on creating a citizenship by investment program. That's going to be a big challenge for the Caribbean. It could be really good for the Caribbean, in all honesty. You know, with bigger countries getting involved in the industry, it gives smaller countries the sort of the cover to be there. And I think that we need to be discussing all these issues of how we're going to be going forward with the regulatory body, with competition from smaller countries, bigger countries, the challenges from Europe, the clear challenges from the United States. We need to be prepared to be talking about it and looking for solutions for not only our clients, but even for us to stay in this business. There's the challenges are really, really great. And we're going into an interesting period in geopolitical history. So that's an amazing opportunity. On the other hand, there are dangers from how Europe perceives our industry, which I think we all need to work really hard on coming up with a strategy to show Europe that we actually are one of the best industries in the world. We help a lot of really good people, and their vision of who we are helping is wrong. So I think there's going to be a very hearty debate going on at CIS, and a lot of talk about, God, how are we going to go forward with this, and how different it's going to look. And I think the important thing is we all have to be ready for change, and change is a wonderful thing, and we have to remember that, you know, if we keep doing what we're used to doing and just try to do it harder, it's probably not going to work.
Not at all.
We need to start thinking about how we are going to change in the way we work and the services that we offer.
Well, speaking of change, one of the CIS 26 themes is regulatory convergence. As a licensed agent in the Caribbean 5 and a marketing agent globally, how are you translating these complex regional standards like the 30-day residency talks? That's going to be a big subject. How are you translating that into selling points for your global network?
So many people are going to be coming here. We as the local agents, and we're going to have to do deals with our IMAs. You know, we have to provide them. We're going to have to provide them at least with concierge services.
Correct.
help them go tour around the island, and help them with restaurants, or try to get them to stay longer. But that's going to be very, very challenging. What does someone do? Many people don't speak the language. What does someone do when they come here and have to spend 30 days doing something? I mean, it's maybe a lot of them will just go to the beach, which is not a bad thing. But here we're going to have a captive audience, and we're going to have to decide how to work with this captive audience in providing them with services, from taxi services to international wealth management services. And each of us is going to have to learn how to do that, and what part of that value proposition can we and will we want to be involved in? Will we want to be the organizers of the taxis, or are we going to be the organizers of the international wealth management services?
Correct. Correct. I mean, do you think it's possible they'll consider spreading the 30-day stay over the OECS 5? Meaning you can do 5 days in Antigua, 5 days in, would they do
Anything
that?
is anything is possible, but that isn't the intent right now. That isn't, as a matter of fact, you cannot, as it's written today, you cannot do that.
So you can't even spread your time around.
No, but again, it's such an amazing opportunity for us, in all honesty, for the IMAs also, but especially for us locals. But we're going to have to create deeper relationships with these people, and we can either take advantage of that relationship. I don't mean that it's taking advantage. I mean offer value or ignore it.
Right.
And that's going to be up to each and every one of us. And we're all going to do it in a different way.
Agreed. Agreed. So let's staying on the subject of CIS 26 and selling points. Is Apex looking to enter into any strategic partnerships, co-branded initiatives, or technological innovations to enhance the program attractiveness?
Well, technological innovations is a really interesting thing, because obviously the world is changing so drastically. Even the way that we promote our website now on the internet has changed from Google Ads to ChatGPT. More people are looking at ChatGPT than doing Google searches, and so we have to change the way that we do marketing altogether. Look, we're always looking for opportunities with colleagues. We're always looking to expand our horizons. We obviously would like to work with more of the IMAs, but we're trying. We're always trying to expand. So yeah, I'm looking to meet new people and forge new relationships, and hopefully do business with a lot more people.
So, what emerging trends or investor insights observed at past CIS events signal the next frontier for the CBI competitiveness?
Wow, that's a good question. I've been to so many of these CISs that they all sort of melt into one. I don't really remember what happened at which time. It always seemed in every time that something was going to change, and it did, and then things got better and worse, and then COVID happened, and all sorts of things happened. Look, again, as I've said, we're at a very interesting point in the development of our industry, with a lot of opportunity and a lot of very, very clear danger to our industry. I can't say we haven't been here before. And you know, as they say, the most constant thing in life is change. And so we're going to have to be looking at how our industry is changing. And it's changed all the time. And again, as I've said before, I started selling Canadian immigration to young people from Russia who were very highly educated but had absolutely no money. They were very far away from being poor millionaires, and I ended up working with in the Caribbean with high net worth individuals, or what I call poor millionaires. So so we're going to see a lot of change, and we need to be preparing for it, and we're going to need to work together as an industry between us locals and those abroad, and figure out how we are going to manage all these changes, and it's still not clear what those changes are going to be. We're going to be learning a lot this year. This year is going to be a really, really, really big year.
Well, and that's very true. I mean, and no one can predict the future, but looking ahead, beyond the Caribbean, where's Apex looking next? Are we seeing the rise of hybrid models in places like Latin America or Asia that might compete with the Caribbean value proposition?
We obviously are. I mean, we see Sao Tome and Botswana that's about to come online, and Nauru and Vanuatu, countries that have factually no visa-free access to anywhere, and yet they're doing incredibly well, and they're peeling off a lot of clients from the Caribbean. We know that there's an intention in Argentina to create a citizenship by investment program this year, and that's going to be a challenge for the Caribbean. We know that Panama has created a hybrid of sorts, a residence program that potentially can lead to citizenship, and that's appealing. And so we're going to learn in the Caribbean, we're going to have to learn how to compete with all of that. We're going to have to change the way we do things. Provide better service. That's generally what it's all about. If we provide better service, then we'll win. Because it's really about that.
Well, then let's talk about multi-generational hedging. Do you foresee citizenship becoming a standard part of diversified portfolio like gold or crypto?
Well, the first really famous immigration consultant was a gentleman who you may have heard of by the name of Christopher Columbus, who brought people for money here. And he was an immigration consultant, and since then there have been it's worked differently. People have been immigrating to the Caribbean since Christopher Columbus. I mean, so it's not going to stop. It's just going to change, and we're going to change how we do things, and change how we work, and I hope we're not. You know, there obviously is a danger that the big countries are going to force us to stop this industry. Will it happen? I hope not.
No problem. So, in closing, if we were to have this same conversation again 5 years from now, what would you hope has fundamentally changed in how the world understands Caribbean citizenship by investment programs or citizenship by investment programs in general?
Well, Desai, I think we can pretty much bet on the fact that we will have those conversations 5 years from now, because we are neighbors and we'll continue being neighbors,
Right.
I assume. So I'll bump into you in the supermarket or on the mountain, and we can talk about these things. It's also a very interesting thing if you think about it. We've been citizenship by investment industry in the Caribbean has effectively been going gangbusters since 2009, when St. Kitts received its visa-free to Europe. Tens and tens of thousands of people have received their citizenship. And if we look at the number of scandals and problems that have happened, we can count them on two hands. And the exception proves the rule. There's no immigration program that brings in better immigrants than these. And I'm hoping that in 5 years the world will understand that.
True, definitely. I mean, it's not like any new program where you can get citizenship for $5 million and just, automatically. It's nothing like that. This is quite much more difficult.
That one doesn't exist. It's just
So, Nuri, I just want to thank you for taking the time and joining us today. It's been a pleasure, as always.
Thank you, and it's nice seeing you today. I look forward to seeing you very soon.
Very, very soon.
In a number of places. Maybe just in the supermarket.
Maybe just in a supermarket. And everybody, I want to say a huge thanks to the team at Apex Capital Partners for mapping out the 2026 landscape for us today. It's clear in a market of unified standards, the winners are no longer defined by volume, but by the strategic positioning for maximum profitability. We'll see you all on the ground at CIS 26 in St. Lucia this May to see who leads the next wave. Until next time, thank you.
Bye-bye.